So, so we begin here already. Um, just as I predicted uh, on one of the subs I'm on Reddit, and America's back. So Biden, there are folks who know more about Biden than me, but I know he's one of those people who voted for all the wars that the U.S. has been in, and here we have already. Just as soon as he gets elected, and it just goes just as a lot of people were predicting. It's so predictable. So this time it's Myanmar. So I hope I pronounce her name right. Aung San Suu Kyi. Okay, yeah. So let's actually search her name on DuckDuckGo. Right. So this is pretty crazy. Um, so it's not something new. There's been a lot of propaganda against her for a few years now. So I'll show you what I mean. So military coup in Myanmar. We are getting a taste of Biden's foreign policy for sure. Yeah, people have been calling it for years. Smearing of Aang has been put in motion years ago. So something could happen right on China's southwest doorstep. So we know China, along with I'd say Russia, Iran as well, are one of the main targets of the U.S. and pretty much every country surrounding them that is subordinate to the U.S. is fair game. So yeah, should not intervene, but they will. They will. So this would stipulate an even larger conflict and a refugee crisis even worse than the current Rohingya one, possibly. It's a possibility. So let's go through what Bloomberg has stated here. The president had been detained in an early morning raid. That is crazy. It just happened so all of a sudden. What the hell? According to report, amid fears of coup. Okay, so going down. Aung San Suu Kyi, President Win Mint, I think that's how his name's pronounced, and other leaders were taken, the report said, citing a spokesman for the ruling National League for Democracy. So, what is the National League of Democracy? Search that up. Right. Yeah. It has become one of the most influential parties in Myanmar's pro-democracy movement. You know, whenever I see pro democracy something, this is just this paranoia that the U.S. has something to do with it, but it could be a genuine thing. We just don't know. But anyway, she serves as a current state councillor of Myanmar, serves as chairperson. Yeah, so that's her own party. So I don't think it has anything to do with the U.S. But moving on, sounds like a coup to me. Yeah. So we got liberals supporting it already, because of course they do. Um, I don't know the I don't know the I don't know the uh, issue in detail with the Rohingya Muslims, so I won't comment on it. But yeah, this claims of genocide and all that. I just don't know, so I won't comment on it. Yeah, more and more. But regardless of such accusations, it got reported in the Sky 1 hour ago. Military raids. So let's check this Guardian article actually. And I have the Bloomberg article here as well. So get out of this. So it looks like they threatened to take action before as well. Alleged fraud in an election. That looks similar to what happened elsewhere in a lot of other countries. Is there a chance of it becoming a military dictatorship? Possibly. I mean, if you look at South Korea, right? So let's go back sometime. You look at Park Chung Hee. He actually came through the same means, military coup, and South Korea became a dictatorship, military dictatorship, to be precise, which with the support of the U.S. So that's like a that's it's simplified, but it goes around. It's like that. That's what happened. So Myanmar, I think we are seeing like a repeat of history with Myanmar this time. So in early morning raids, they got detained in early morning raids. First signals, the first phase of okay. All right, so this is what happens when your military is not under the leadership of the party. So this is why the CPC, or the CCP, or how you want to call it, but CPC is more accurate. This is why the CPC, the military is under the control of the CPC. It's actually part of the wing, if you want, of the CPC, to prevent such things from happening. See, this looks like a military dictatorship about to happen. That's pretty crazy. I didn't think I would see it in my lifetime. Yeah, okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that. I don't know much about Myanmar, but they've been running Myanmar for some 50 years until 2011. So they've been. So this was in the works for a long time, I'm guessing. So the army has alleged widespread irregularities in November's election. Alleged, no evidence. So there's no direct evidence of U.S. involvement in this, but it's like the number one suspect. So which her party won in a landslide victory. So that election, her party won again. Said last week that the coup could not be ruled out, prompting the United Nations and several foreign missions in the country to express alarm. Military later backtracked and yeah, okay, had been misunderstood. Okay, so yeah, we just don't know. I don't think that's a misunderstanding actually, considering what's said here. Suxen Mionint, I think that's how it's pronounced, told Reuters on Monday that Suki taken early in the morning. I want to tell our people not to respond rashly, and I want them to act according to the law, he said. But the military, they ain't gonna. There's no law for them. We have to assume that the military is staging a coup, party spokesperson said. I mean, it is at this point. What else could it be? Uh, right. So we have a civil society figure and a student union leader being rounded up as well. The door is open to a very different future indeed. I have a sinking feeling that no one will be really able to control what comes next. Probably the military. And remember, Myanmar's a country awash in weapons, with deep divisions across ethnic and religious lines, where millions can barely feed themselves. Yeah, I think this could be true. I don't know about the millions barely being to feed themselves, but Myanmar is a pretty poor country. Oh shit, there you go. From what I've seen so far, Myanmar. There are a lot of reports about it already. So let's see. Yeah, that's a really poor country. Average PPP per capita 6,707. Yikes, that's really poor. And they have a population of 53 million. So their human development index, so 0.583. That's really bad. Medium. So they're in quite a bind here, right? And this is, oh wow, look at this. Right next to China. Oh, sorry about the background noise. Close to Bangladesh, Vietnam. Yeah, so if you look at this map, so you got Myanmar. So if we assume the US has some involvement in this, which they most likely do. So you got Myanmar here. You got India. Who else? We have, well, we got South Korea, Japan. You got Taiwan. Not a country, but still against China. And you also have Vietnam. So Vietnam is interesting because their government is neutral on China, both being communist parties. So they have that kind of relationship. But their people are pretty anti-China and ironically pro-US, highly pro-US, even though we know what the US did to them during the Vietnam War. And so that's Hainan. So China is pretty much surrounded. So if we assume this has some US involvement in it, which it most likely does because he's incompetent. He's a pretty dull guy, but he listens to those who know what they're talking about, unlike Trump. So Biden's handlers probably told him to deal with Myanmar, and that's a pretty easy taking, really. Uh, Considering what I said before, the army's not under the party. It's a democracy, pretty much, and the reason the U.S. Advocates for liberal democracy pretty much everywhere is because it's so easy for a foreign power to control the opposition party. It's so easy for the U.S. to infiltrate, um, just to say propaganda, just brainwashing the people into believing whatever the U.S. says about their own government, and eventually destabilizing the country. So here's my prediction: what might happen to Myanmar. So I'm thinking most likely Myanmar is going to become a military dictatorship, um, with the support of the U.S. But I don't think the U.S. will openly support Myanmar. I think it's just going to be like it's kind of like his relationship with Saudi Arabia. They won't openly support Saudi Arabia, but they do. We know they do. Um, so that's the case with Myanmar. I'm guessing that's what's going to happen with Myanmar as well. So let's go back to the Guardian article, and then you'll read the Bloomberg article as well. So yeah, they won't. So they won't answer any phone calls. So they won the election by a landslide victory. Yeah, that's a they absolutely destroyed their opponents there. But another 5 years in government. Um, Possibly she's probably pro-China. I don't know. She could be. I don't know much about Myanmar's government. Yeah, so the military-aligned opposition has challenged the results, while the army has claimed to found 8.6 million cases of fraud. Radio. The election commission says there is no fraud, but there are flaws in the voter list. So even the military spokesperson, he's being honest here, right? He didn't rule out a possibility of coup. Yeah, damn, they're taking things into their own hands right now. See, so here we go. Here's something interesting. The army, however, remains hugely powerful due to a debate-backed constitution that gives it control over key industries and guarantees it a quarter of parliamentary seats. So that's a recipe for disaster right there. Yeah. So they were under military rule for a while. Um, but we could be seeing a pro-U.S. military dictatorship, most likely. So, okay, so here's he called on the U.S. to impose strict direct economic sanctions. Canada's ambassador to the United Nations. So all the liberals are against this. I'm guessing if they heard about this news. But when it's found out that so you got the Australian and Canada governments going against the military rule, but if say the U.S. actually supports the military in this case, then they'll go quite real quick. So yeah, we call on the military to respect the rule of law, resolve disputes through the lawful mechanisms, and to release immediately all civilian leaders and others who have been detained unlawfully. So I really doubt that would happen. Let's go to the Bloomberg article, actually. What is it? Honest.
Coming after months of political disputes.
So the same stuff, really. So the United States is officially, right, against it. But we'll see probably in a few years' time their support. So yeah, so this was always inevitable, actually, because as I said before, the military isn't under party control. So they're free to pretty much do whatever they want. So this was always bound to happen, actually. So yeah, that's the situation in Myanmar. News came this morning. I just wanted to do a quick video on that. So yeah, that's all. I'll see you guys next time.